Yo, 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 what is going on, guys? Chili Philly here, and today we're going to be ranking all the cards in Clash Royale. For the life of me, I couldn't find the Little Prince or any ones with a few updated ones, but we're going to have to manage. But yeah, top five is going to be probably just the OP, not OP because that says OP there, but top five is just going to be the greatest cards I think in the game. And my opinion is definitely going to be different than yours, guys. So let me know down below what you would change. But yeah, if you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. But let's tune in here, and I'll see you guys in a second. All right, guys. So we're gonna start off here with the Goblin Gang. I think the Goblin Gang, I would put it in a great card category. It's not perfect, but for 3 elixir, it is not a bad card. You know what, guys? I'm actually gonna change up the tiers. Hold up. Alrighty, guys, we have it switched up now. It is S, A, B, C, and F. There's not enough room for D, so we're just going to leave it as is. But I'll put the Goblin Gang in C tier. I think they're a pretty decent card. 3 elixir, decent value, so can't complain. Alright, we're going to go into the next. It's still a great card, but it's kind of not getting its time to shine right now. But yeah, it was definitely good in the past, and it had its moments. But the Archer Queen, I think, is a solid B tier card. Alright, guys, moving on to the next one, we're gonna go with the Fire Spirit, and I think the Fire Spirit is A or B tier card. I think it, I don't know, all the damage it does makes me want to put it in A tier. It's like a fireball pretty much on the tower. So if you get one to connect, it is pretty awesome. But yeah, it doesn't distract as well, as other spirits like the Ice Spirit and E Spirit. But the Fire Spirit is still a solid option. Alright. We're going to keep the spirits together here, and I think I'll put the E-Spirit in B tier as well. I think it is a pretty decent card. It has a great stun ability and can be great against certain matchups, but for 1 elixir, the spirits really can steer you too wrong. But the biggest flaw is it can activate your King Tower very easily or your opponent's King Tower, I should say. But, yeah, that's about the E-Spirit. Let's see on the next card. What are we going to talk about here? Let's talk about the E-Giant. So the E-Giant is probably C or F tier right now. I'll leave it in C tier because, I don't really know. It's not that bad, but there's a lot of things that can counter it very easily for a lot cheaper than, what is the E-Giant, 7 elixir. So let's see, the next card we are going to do is the Earthquake. I think the Earthquake is, I would say, A tier card. It is a solid counter to pretty much most buildings. Bomb Tower and a few defenses are pretty tough still with the Earthquake, but you will get a good amount of damage on the tower, and it is a great cycle card. It's, I don't know how to compare it to a Fireball because it doesn't do the same exact thing, but I prefer the Fireball over the Earthquake, but I know a lot of people love the Earthquake. But maybe in this meta it's B tier because I don't see as much Hog, so I'll lower it down. But yeah, guys, I am not on top ladder either, so my rankings are definitely going to be a lot different. But this is just my opinion and based on how I like the cards, pretty much. And I am biased with a few cards, so. Alright, let's get into the next one, though. We're going to do Balloon, I think. We're going to put the Balloon. Do I put it in A tier? I don't know. That could be a wrong placement, but right now I'm going to leave the Balloon in A tier. I think the Balloon is a solid card. If you can get a Lava Hound or a Miner, with support of the Balloon, it is overpowering. The Balloon on a tower is just too much, and there's not a lot you can do, and it's pretty close, unless you have Tornado. But a lot of matchups look pretty good for the Balloon's sake, so it's not the end of the world, and I think it's a pretty good card. But maybe we'll go back, might go back into B tier. I don't know, we'll see. But the next card I want to do is the Barb Hut. The Barb Hut is, oh my goodness, it is terrible. Not a fan of the Barb Hut. They tried to rework it, nerf it a million times now, and I don't think it'll ever be a viable card, and I think they know that. So now they're just going to kind of leave it how it is, I think, for the next maybe 2 years, I would assume. But yeah, don't expect any nerfs or buffs soon for the Barb Hut. Alrighty, the next one we're gonna do is the Elixir Collector. The Elixir Collector is not in a bad spot. There is a lot that counters it, but I'll say it's in C tier, honestly. The Elixir Collector can be a great card. It is one of my favorites, honestly. If your opponent uses a Fireball too early in the match and you get a Collector down, sometimes you can easily win with no effort. With such a great elixir advantage, it's really difficult to come back from, and that's why I love playing the Collector. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Collector down below. Should they rework it? Should they leave it how it is? But I'm a pretty big fan, I would say. But alrighty, guys, into the next. Hmm, what is the next card we're gonna do here? I think we're gonna do the Snowball, and I'll put the Snowball in C tier. It's definitely not as good as the other small spells, and I don't know. I feel like I would put it in like D tier in my opinion. I'm not a fan of the Snowball, but I have played it a little bit, so yeah, I don't have much to say. I'll leave it in C tier, but next card is going to be the Goblin Barrel. I will put in B tier. It's not a bad card, but it just everyone has so many small spells for the last few metas. I feel like there's a lot of arrows and bar barrel or log, fireball, and it's pretty crazy. So you have to be pretty skilled to be using, I would say, log bait right now. But yeah, Goblin Barrel. I don't know if you should buff it or nerf it. I think you should leave it how it is. I'm not a big fan of bait, but I know a lot of people will be upset about that. But yeah, alrighty here, guys. And the next card we're gonna do is the Goblins. I think the Goblins are an A tier card. For 2 elixir, they provide so much damage and value. If you can distract the tower and get goblins on your tower, they will destroy it like super quick, and there's nothing your opponent can do if they cycle their log or they're low on elixir. They will take so much damage. But yeah, goblins are OP. Let's keep it going here, guys. The next card we're gonna get into, I think. I think we're gonna do the Cannon, and I think the Cannon is a solid C tier card right now. I mean, it's not bad, but for 3 elixir, it'll do so much damage. But it doesn't have any air value at all. It is just a distraction. But at the same time, sometimes that's all you need. But the Cannon is pretty average right now. It's not great like it used to be. But, next card we are going to do is Graveyard. I don't know. I would say if there was like a B plus tier, I'd put it in, but I'm gonna put it in A tier. I think the Graveyard is so RNG based, honestly, where it's like it really depends on a lot of luck. So if you have luck going on your side, then the Graveyard will probably be a great card for you. But yeah, it's definitely not as good as it used to be, but it is still a solid card. Alrighty here, we still don't have any S tiers, but we're gonna go right now with the Firecracker. I will put the Firecracker in high B tier. I think it is a solid card. We don't have Evos, I don't think, on this list. So I will kind of just base the regular ones off the Evos, I guess. But the Firecracker Evo is pretty solid. It was broken when the card first came out. Not as good as it used to be. Definitely got a lot of nerfs, but it is still a great option, honestly. But yeah. Next card we're going to do is the Evo Bats. And I will put them here as well in high. I'll put them in lower B tier, honestly. Let's try to see here. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the bats, but like they can in certain instances like take out so much health on your opponent towers. But besides that, it's like most people have arrows, snowball, log. Well, log doesn't counter, but you know what I mean. A lot of people have small spells now, and I don't know. Evo bats aren't the greatest Evo, but we're gonna move on. Alright, next card we're gonna do is the Clone. Clone is an F tier card. There are like 2 decks that it really works in. It's like Lava Clone and Golem Clone. And you know what? I will say the Giant Skelly one with all the spam, but it's not, I don't know how you make it a viable card. I don't know if you really can. but we're gonna put the clone in F tier because it's just not too great. Alrighty, next card we're going to do is the let's see, let's go switch it up here. What have we not done? I feel like we haven't done a lot of bad cards. Maybe we should start getting into those. Alright, we're gonna do the Inferno Tower. And I think the Inferno Tower is a low B tier card, I would say. I don't know. I would say low B tier, maybe C tier. I'll put it higher up in C. It's not a bad card, it's great, but it really depends what you're going up against. There's a lot of Royal Hogs and stuff like that going around right now. And Inferno Tower is okay against it, but it really depends what kind of deck you're playing. It'll always be a great counter to, very expensive cards, but I don't know. Not a big fan recently. Alright, let's see what we're going to do for the next one here. I may go in with the guards, and the guards are always going to be, I think, a pretty above average card, but you don't see them too often anymore. I'll put them in C tier. They are great for a lot of different troops, but you don't really need them too much anymore in this meta, I would say. And they're a little above average, but I would say C tier is good for them. Alrighty, let's keep it rocking and rolling, guys. The next card I'm going to do is the Miner, and I will put the Miner. I feel like I have to put it in S tier, low key. Like, I don't really know. The Miner will always be great. It gets so much damage every time, and if they leave it, like, you'll get, like, I think 500 damage on their tower. It's like doing a rocket. Like, you can't let the Miner go. So I think the Miner's an S tier card. It always used to be great. It still is. Look at the leaderboards. Everyone's rocking Miner. There are a few matchups better than it right now, but it is still, I think, one of the best matchups or one of the best cards in the game. Alright, we're going to go on to the Mighty Miner, and I don't see it too often anymore, so I'm going to put it in B tier. I haven't been playing it too much. It is still a great card, and it can be worked in cycle decks, but I don't know. The Mighty Miner, when it was so fast, that's the only... I mean, it was... I wouldn't say it's the only time it was ever broken, but when the Mighty Miner got that speed boost, man, it was impossible to stop. I miss the old Mighty Miner. But anyway, we're just going to keep it going here. The next card we're going to do is we're going to do the Monk, I believe. And I'm going to put the Monk in C tier. I feel like it's just not it, It's not a bad card, not a great card, but I don't know. Don't have too much to say. The next card we're going to do is the Bowler. Or not the Bowler, the Furnace. And I'm going to put the Furnace in, I guess, F tier. It is not a good card. I mean, it is a lot of Fire Spirit, so if you don't have Elixir to defend, it can be a pain. And that's really what it is. It's annoying more than anything. It's not like it really has too much skill or anything in that sense, but yeah, the Furnace is an F tier. It's definitely better than everything there, though. But alright, and I may fix the rankings a little bit as I go, guys. I'm not too sure on how I'm ranking everything yet, so things are subject to change from this point on. And this video will probably be about an hour long. But if you still are here, guys, please leave a like right now. That would be awesome. And go drop a comment down below of what you guys think is my biggest mistake so far. But the next card we're going to do is the Mega Minion. Mega Minion is a solid C tier card. I think it's better than... I would actually put it right at average, honestly. For 3 Elixir, it gets you a good amount of value, and it does enough damage that you can't be upset, honestly. So C tier, it's very painfully average, but it's not below average, so I will leave it there. Alrighty here, guys. The next card I'm going to do is the E-Golem, and I would put it in D tier. That's really where I'd put the E-Golem. Maybe I will change it and make a D tier category. We will do that probably in the next few minutes, but I might change a few cards around. We will see. But right now we're going to leave it at the bottom of C. It's definitely around. It was in the beginning of this season at least. But already here, guys. Next card we're going to be doing is we're going to do the Golden Knight. And the Golden Knight is what you say is a C tier card. Definitely will not complain about that. It's not bad by any means, but it's just not used anymore. If you're not playing E-Giant, you don't see it anywhere, so I will leave it right next to his buddy there. Alright guys, the next card we're going to do is the Bar Barrel. And I think the Bar Barrel is a pretty average spell. The Barbarian does usually get a hit on tower if you play it at the bridge, but other than that, it's a shorter log. It's not too crazy. But the next card we're going to get into is the Ice Spirit, and I think the Ice Spirit is borderline S tier, if not A tier. Better than most cards. It is fantastic in my opinion. But yeah, the Ice Spirit can be used in so many varieties of decks, mostly in cycle decks, but it provides a great distraction, and the freeze effect is so beautiful. Everyone loves it, so it will always be, I think, the top spirit from now on. Let's keep it rolling. Let's see. And we're going to do the Evo Knight, and that's going to be an S tier. The Evo Knight is just broken. Unbelievable. I don't have words to describe how broken it used to be. It's gotten so many nerfs, I think, now. But it is still a solid card, and it's very painful for myself to handle and my opponents. But yeah, the Evo Knight will always be a fan favorite, I believe. Okay, next card we're gonna do is the Ice Golem, and this is another card I think belongs in a D tier. So I actually am gonna change that up real quick. I will be right back here. Oh, by the way, we did add the D tier here. We have the Ice Golem, E Golem, and Furnace for now. Not too sure. I moved around a couple. Uh-oh, what happened to the seed label? All right, well I'm gonna have to fix that when we come back. But let's see. We're gonna do a giant here, and that's gonna go right in C tier. Definitely better than the E giant though, and most of these cards. So we're gonna put the giant up here a little ways. It's, I would say, very average. It's very easily countered. A lot of different things can counter it as well, and it only goes for defenses. So its biggest flaw is that and its speed. But all right, next card here we're gonna do is the Battle Healer, and that's gonna go in the bottom, I think, of D tier. I don't know. It's not a great card, but combined with the E-Golem, it's the only way it really works. Other people, I mean, honestly, I don't think people really like this card. It's just pretty much in the game at this point for E-Golem. The next card we're going to do is the Evo Archers, and I think the Evo Archers are an A tier card right now. They are very solid. People don't realize the range is insane and the damage they do to towers. People let them go thinking they're just not going to do that much more damage, but they will do a lot more damage than normal archers. So I am a huge fan just because of the surprise factor, honestly. And the next card we're going to do is the Goblin Drill. I think it is a higher B tier card. The drill is always going to be a pretty solid, honestly, a pretty solid cycle deck, and it'll work in a lot of different things. Mighty Miner, pretty much just Goblin Cycle, you know what I mean? Like, it'll definitely work. But, yeah, pretty good card. The next card we're going to get into is the Lightning. Honestly, I don't think it's a great Lightning meta. I don't see it everywhere. But with the Little Prince and other cards around, it isn't too bad. So I would say it's a C or D tier card. I will put it in D tier right now, a little higher up. And the Ice Golem could be in C tier as well, but we're going to leave it in D for now. Okay, the next card we're going to do is the E-Barbs. I'm going to put them in C tier, I believe. I mean, they're not terrible, but for 6 elixir, they are easily countered. I think you can counter them with 2 elixir, honestly, but it is what it is. They're going to be an average card to me. So next card we're going to do is the Heal Spirit, and I'm going to put that in D tier as well. It only has a few combos it works really well with, and it can be pulled off in certain instances, but other than that, it's just kind of useless. But next defense we're going to do is the Goblin Cage, and I think it's a C tier card. The Goblin Brawler does a ton of damage if you let him go to whatever, is coming down or on the tower. There's been so many times where I let him go and he takes like half my tower, and I'm like, why did I why did I ever let that happen? But it's all right. He's a pretty good card. We'll put him over here for now. But all right, we're going to keep it rolling with the Spear Gob Hut, and I'm going to put it in F tier above the Barb Hut. But it is terrible. I can't stand this card. And, I don't think it provides that much value. I think it's a waste of elixir, in my opinion, and I would much rather use another spawner. But the next one we're going to do is the Goblin Giant. And the Goblin Giant right now is a solid card. I'm going to put it in B tier. It's definitely not as good as it was last meta, but it is still everywhere and people love to use it. It is a great combo with Rage and a few other cards, especially Sparky. But Goblin Giant is pretty good still after all the changes, but we're going to leave him up in B tier. Okay, guys, the next card is going to be the Cannon Cart. The Cannon Cart is not in any decks right now, but it is a okay card. I want to put it in C tier with my heart, but I am going to put it in D tier. I don't know. I can't do that. I can't do it, guys. I'm going to have to leave it in C tier. I think it's better than people give it credit for. But yet again, at the same time, it's like only in certain circumstances it'll be good. So I'm going to put it in D tier, like high D tier. I don't want to do the Cannon Cart dirty, but I have to, guys. I haven't used it in so long. But we're going to leave it down in D tier. All right. The next card we're going to do is Hog Rider. And I would put it in high B tier, but I'm going to put it in A tier because the Hog Rider is always a great deck you can use to push up on ladder. It will always be a great card, I believe. I don't think they're ever going to, take that ability away from the Hog Rider. It is very popular and it always has been. But yeah, Hog Rider's in low A tier. It's not the best card in the game, but it's definitely one of the better cards. Alright, the next card we're going to do is the Hunter. And honestly, I'm going to put the Hunter in D tier as well. It's not a bad card. It does a ton of damage, but the only deck you use it in is Royal Giant. So, I never see anyone really using Hunter besides, in Royal Giant. And it has to do a lot of work for it to be pulled off properly, I feel like, with a lot of skill. And, sometimes I do not have that skill. So the Hunter is gonna stay in D tier for now. The next card we're gonna do is the Ice Wizard. I would put it in low B tier, but I think I'm just gonna leave it in C tier for now. It's not bad. It's definitely better than most cards. But yeah, he's gonna stay in C tier for now. Alrighty here, guys. Next we're gonna do arrows, and I think arrows are in A tier. They counter so much, and it's pretty ridiculous with all the amount of arrows and log fireball going around right now. So arrows are going to be an A tier. They are very solid. I'll even put them above the hog for right now. I'm definitely going to move these cards around, but we shall see. All right, the next card we're going to do is the Mini P.E.K.K.A. I think is a solid card. It's going to go the first one in B tier. I would put it in A tier, but it is everywhere, Mini P.E.K.K.A. So maybe we'll threaten to put it in A tier, but we're going to leave him high in B tier right now. The damage rate is insane. He does so much. The health is a little bit of a flaw, but, he is the Mini P.E.K.K.A., so something has to be changed. All right. Next card here we're going to do is the Bomber. I am not a fan. I don't want to just put a lot of cards in C tier because I'm not a fan of them. But I think the Bomber for, 2 Elixir provides so much value that if you can't say it's not at least a C tier card. It can be good in circumstances, but yeah, he's an average card and I'm going to leave it at that. The Elixir value is not too bad, so alrighty here, guys. Let's see. We're going to move that down a little bit. And the next card we're going to do is, we're going to go with Magic Archer in B tier. The Magic Archer is a solid card. I mean, it was broken before with the tornado, and it still kind of is, but it's not as used as it was the last few seasons. It was terrorizing ladder, and everyone was doing it. I could not stand the Magic Archer, and I really can't stand it now, but I am happy I do not see it every 5 seconds, honestly. But yeah, we're going to leave him in B tier there. And moving on to the next card, we're going to do the Minion Horde, and I'm going to put the Minion Horde in D tier. I think the Minion Horde is not too good. It is easily countered and distracted. You can just distract it all the way across the map pretty much, and it won't get any damage. But in other cases, it will get a few hits on the tower, and it's not the end of the world, but it only works in circumstances or in, like, surprise factor, I would say, nowadays. But yeah, we're going to leave the Minion Horde in D tier. Alrighty, guys. Next, we're going to do the Mirror, and that's going right into F tier. The Mirror had its chance to shine when E-Giant was, popping, and it was going crazy with the mirrored E-Giant. And yeah, when they buffed the mirror, it was a good time. I miss those days, but not really. I could not stand facing mirrored E-Giant. But the mirror, I think, will continue to stay in F tier, and I don't think we'll receive any buffs in the near future or, next few years. Alrighty, guys, back after a little short break there. Let's see here. We're going to go in with the Musketeer, and the Musketeer, I think, is a B tier card. I would put it in C tier, but I think it gives you so much value hitting air and ground cards or units, whatever you want to use. But yeah, the Musketeer provides great value, and it is taken out pretty easily. But some instances it works out really good, especially with Fireball, and you can get a hog in front of the Musketeer, and it can support your push, so it is pretty cool. But Musketeer and B tier sounds pretty cool. The next card we're going to do is the Phoenix, and the Phoenix is a C tier card now. Definitely higher up on the C tier ladder. But yeah, I don't know. Phoenix used to be so good, and they nerfed it about 100 times, and now it's about average and not overpowered anymore, so no one really is a huge fan of it, but it's still not terrible. We're going to leave it down in C tier. Okay, next card we are going to do is the Minions. I will put the Minions in C tier. I think they are a very average card. They're not as bad as the Minion Horde, because the Minion Horde, I don't know, it just, when you see it, it's a very big threat, so you always use your arrows or whatever on it. The Minions are, they have more potential to get some damage on the tower, I feel like, and they are cheaper, so it's a lot more of a cycle card than not. So I'm going to leave the Minions in C tier. That might have not made much sense, but, Anyway, we're going to go in here with the next card. That will be, let's see, we'll scroll down. We'll do the Royal Giant based off the evolution. And I'll put it in A tier. I think it is a very, very solid card. I don't think many people know how to defend it, honestly. But yeah, I'm going to put it in A tier. It only takes one cycle to get to the evolution. That is crazy. It is not as broken as it was in the beginning, but I still love it. I think it's a great card. Alrighty here, guys, into the next one. We are going to do, let's see, I think the Flying Machine, and we're going to put it in B tier. It is great in Fireball bait decks and other various decks, but honestly, the Flying Machine causes so much trouble, and it can stay alive for like half the match sometimes. It is absolutely crazy. But yeah, Flying Machine, from its annoyingness, is going to be in B tier. Next card we are going to do is the Executioner. I also think the Executioner is a higher B tier card right now as well. But we're going to leave him up in B tier. He provides so much value for 5 elixir and does so much damage. But very solid. Alrighty, guys, the next addition is going to be the Mother Witch, and I think the Mother Witch is a high C tier card. The Mother Witch is very weak. It doesn't do a ton of damage, but against spam, it is fantastic. It can be great in circumstances, but other than that, the Mother Witch is fairly weak and is an average card, I would say. But next, we're going to go in here with the Freeze. The Freeze, I think, is like F tier. Lumberloon Freeze is the only deck it works in, and it can work pretty well, but I just am not a fan, and I don't think it's that great. Alright. After the Freeze, we are going to do the Rocket. Now, if this was like, how do I want to say this? So this was a few years ago, or at least even a year ago, I would say the Rocket would be A tier, possibly. Like, could be higher up for sure. But right now, the Rocket is definitely in D tier, I think. It is not a solid card. The damage nerf is huge. Rocket Cycle is pretty much gone now, so everyone uses other spells. But I would be curious to see the usage rate for the Rocket. Honestly, I don't think it's any of the top. I think it's near the bottom. But yeah, guys, it is pretty bad right now. But next up is going to be the Evo Mortar. The Evo Mortar is a B tier card. It is very good. If you know how to play cycle decks, you probably know how to play Mortar. But I am not the greatest Mortar player myself. I know a lot of people who are pretty good at it, but I think it's a solid card, especially with the Goblin for the evolution. It does a lot of damage, and it has potential to take towers easily. But yeah. Alrighty, we're going to go on to the next card here, and the next card will be the Princess. I'll put the Princess in C tier, honestly. I don't think it's as good as it used to be. It is fairly weak now. It does get, pretty good chip damage, but compared to the Little Prince, like, come on now. You can't compare the two. They don't do, you know, it's just you don't use the Princess anymore. It's what it is now that everyone has the Little Prince. But yeah, rest in peace to the Princess. It's a shame. The next card is going to be the Giant Skeleton, and I will put that in C tier as well. It is not used at all anymore, but it's not terrible. But there's so many better options nowadays. The Giant Skeleton definitely gets overlooked and is hidden at the bottom of the archives. The next card, guys, will be the Evo Skellies, and I think I'll put them in B tier, honestly. They're not the greatest. You know what? I will say that the buff did help them out a lot. They can be a lot scarier now, and if you don't have any elixir, oh no, you're done. But it is pretty rare that you can't take them out, and the fact that they are one elixir to cycle is not bad, but I don't know. I'm threatening to put it in C tier, but we shall see. Alright, the next card we're going to do is a Dark Goblin. I love the Dark Goblin. I'm going to put it in B tier. The speed of it does so much damage if it's left alone, and if you have like a miner or some other kind of tank to block for it, it is perfect. The range is my favorite thing about it, and the speed is probably everyone else's favorite, but yeah, the Dark Goblin is a solid unit. Next up is going to be the Poison. I think the Poison is probably an A tier card right now. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it in A tier. Could possibly be S, but the amount of Little Prince around the Poison does counter it. So it is pretty nice, and the Poison it's had its ups and downs throughout the years, but recently it's definitely been on the better side, so I'm going to put it in A tier. Okay, the next card I'm going to do is Sparky. I'm going to put it in D tier, I think. I don't know. It's only really used in giant or goblin giant decks now. It is like, it has potential to be pretty good, but it is easily countered if you know what you're doing. A lot of cheap units can counter it, so yet again, if you're not taking advantage of any certain kind of plays or, in a matchup, it's not going to be the greatest for you. But next up, let's see what we're going to do here. I think we're going to do the Tombstone. And I think the Tombstone is a C tier card. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's great. But for 3 elixir, it does give a lot of value. And it can counter a lot of units perfectly. So yeah, the Tombstone is a pretty average card. So we're going to leave it. I would say it's right in the middle of all the buildings, honestly. I mean, at least for defenses. But next card we're going to do is P.E.K.K.A. And P.E.K.K.A is going to be in C tier as well. It is pretty slow and easily stopped. It's not a bad card. It can be paired up with other cards to have great synergy, but P.E.K.K.A just isn't what it used to be. It used to be an unstoppable force. But yeah, now it's just an average card to me. Alrighty, next card we're going to do is Skeleton Army is going to go in C tier as well. It is easily countered but can provide massive amounts of value on defense usually and sometimes on offense. But I used to like it a lot when, that there was not as many cards in the game. It was an awesome option, but you don't really see it too much anymore. Next up, we're going to do the X-Bow. And I don't know. I would say it's D tier. It's not really a great meta for X-Bow either. It's not like there's like really heavy spells, but going up against a lot of Evo Knights and a lot of big units this season, a lot destroys X-Bow, and they're trying to help it out with different types of evolutions for cards like the Knight, Archers, but it's just not the same. And yeah, it takes a lot of skill, I think, to win nowadays. But yeah, I wish the X-Bow was a little bit better, in my opinion. I wish it was a C tier card. But next up, we're going to do the Evo Recruits. I am going to put the Evo Recruits in, I think, high B tier. They are a solid card. What do I want to start with the Evo Recruits? I think the recruits aren't that good alone, but the evolution helps them out so much more that it's actually worth playing them. Without the evolution, they're not too hard to stop, and I don't think you would disagree with me on that one. But yeah, I'll put them in B tier just because of the evolution. Without it, I think it would be a D tier card. Alrighty, guys. Next up, let's see here. We're gonna go with the Wizard, and we're gonna put it in F tier, probably the top of F tier. Um, I mean, there's not much to say about Wizard. I might make a video about Wizard on my Chili 3.0 channel if you guys would be interested in that. Maybe not like the history of it, but more like why they won't change it, or kind of thing like that. Maybe what I would like to see different about the Wizard. And yeah, if you guys would like to see that, let me know down below in the comments. But we're gonna keep the ball rolling here, and we're gonna start with the Lava Hound. Get some of the tankier cards. Lava Hound will go in C tier. I don't think the Lava Hound is necessarily broken, but it is a solid tank that soaks up so much HP, or at least it takes up so much damage to get rid of it. And paired up with like Skeleton Dragons, Balloon, a few other units, it can be lethal. But I am a pretty big fan of the Lava Hound. I used to play it on my second account all the time, but don't do that as much anymore. Hopefully, we get back around to it. But Lava's going to stay in C tier. Next up, we're going to go Rascals, and I'm going to put them in D tier. For 5 elixir, it's not terrible, but the fact that the Rascals get countered by the Log, at least, not the Rascal Boy. I'm not sure if it's the Rascal Girls is their proper name, but that's what I'm going to use, I guess. Yeah, so not too sure, but we're going to keep them in D tier. Not a big fan. Next card I'm going to do is the Valkyrie, and I will put it in B tier, I think, out of respect for the Valkyrie. The fact that it doesn't have an Evo is probably what's holding it back. If it had, oh my goodness, when the Evo is going to come for the Valkyrie, it's going to be a crazy day. I am not honestly excited to see that. I think it might be broken. But, yeah, I think they have a lot of commons to get through first. But the next one I would like to do is the Rage, and I believe Rage is a D tier spell, paired up with a few things like Goblin Giant, obviously the E-Barbs, the mid-ladder stuff. It can be great in, circumstances, but other than that, not the greatest card in the book. I mean, it's hard to make a balanced Rage card, but right now it's not in a bad spot. I would say it used to be a little bit better, but if it did maybe like even 25-30 more damage, I think a lot more people would try it out, but other than that, I don't know. Alrighty here, guys. We're getting near the bottom here, so if you guys are enjoying so far, please leave a like and subscribe. Should be about another maybe 15 minutes, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, I would assume. But yeah, next card I'm going to do here is the Skeleton King. And I will put the Skeleton King in, I think I'm going to put him in B tier. I'm not 100% sure. I think that's where he's going to go, though. And I think I am going to make a change here and put the Ice Spirit in S tier as well. And, oh man, I don't know. I possibly might put the Arrows in S tier, and I think I'm going to move the Firecracker up to A, because the Evo Firecracker is kind of crazy. Yeah, I'm going to make a couple revisions here, guys. I think I'm going to keep Earthquake in B tier. I kind of like the B tier, but Archer Queen is probably the top. That's probably pretty good as it is. Skeleton King deserves to be way higher up. Probably the Valkyrie as well. I'm liking it so far. Golden Knight probably deserves some more love. Same with the Monk. Pump will get some more love. Same with the Lava. I'm not a big fan of the Bomber, so I'm going to move it down a little bit. Let's see what else we can do here, though. Alright, that's fine. I'm going to leave it how it is for now. And for these, like, ratings for what tier it is, I'm actually not, like, saying which card's better in front. I'm trying to do that, but it is pretty difficult to actually determine. But yeah, we're going to keep going here now. Alright, we're going to start next with the E-Dragon. And I think C tier is going to be a majority of these cards. The E-Dragon is a very good card in Golem decks, I believe. I'm a big fan of the E-Golem, or not the E-Golem. I'm not too big of a fan of the E-Golem. I love the E-Dragon. It has great synergy in certain decks, but in a Golem Pump deck, it works so well, and I love playing that deck. But moving on from the E-Dragon, the next card we're going to do is Royal Hogs, and I will put them in B tier, I think. They are a lot better this season. Ever since the Little Prince came out, I've been seeing them around, so they are a pretty solid card. And splitting them might be my favorite thing to do, honestly, in the game. But I do struggle near the end of games with Royal Hogs. It might just be me not knowing how to play it, but we're going to leave them in B tier. Next card we're going to do is Three Musketeers. They're going in F tier. They probably should be in D tier, honestly, but I cannot stand the Three Musketeers. I don't like going up against them or playing them. I don't get how it's really enjoyable. But some players who can do this are very skillful, honestly, and if they do catch your fireball, if you're using on something else and they play the Three Musketeers, they can, have a crazy counter push. So I will respect the Three Musketeers at least, but I am not a fan whatsoever. And that's why they are in F tier. I would put them in D tier, but they're staying down in F tier. Alrighty, guys. The next card here is going to be the Ram Rider, and the Ram Rider is a C tier card for me. I honestly think I'm moving the E-Giant to D tier. Goodbye, E-Giant. You're going down. Yeah, but the Ram Rider's pretty good. It's not used as much as it used to be, and it has a really unique ability that you don't see too often. It really slows down and does a little bit of damage. But yeah, Ram Rider's pretty average to me. Can be pushed back with a log and reset with a few different things like Ice Spirit and stopped by defenses. But I would like to see a turnaround for the Ram Rider in the near future. Last two rows here. Let's get it started off. I think I'm going to do the Witch first. The Witch is a D tier card. It is not good, easily countered in my opinion. It is really appealing to mid-ladder players, but the Witch does not provide much value when you get a little higher up on ladder. It's a great starter card, don't get me wrong, but once you want to push, you got to get rid of the Witch. Nothing against it, but if they buff the Witch, it's going to be a little broken, so you kind of have to leave it in the state it is, I believe. But yeah, next card we're going to do is Battle Ram. I believe is a C tier card, borderline D tier. It is easily countered, and especially with the log, how it can hit the barbarians after the ram breaks, so that takes a bonus points away from the ram. And it sounds like there's a bunch of geese flying around outside. Not too sure what's going on with that. Getting pretty rambunctious out there. But next card, along with the Witch, I'm going to put the Night Witch. Not one of my favorites, not a big fan. But yeah, don't have much to say about the Night Witch. The ability, or not ability, but the bat spawn is pretty cool and it can be helpful, but ultimately the Night Witch isn't the greatest unit in the game. Next, I am going to talk about an undervalued card, I think, is the Royal Delivery. I am going to put it in B tier card or B tier. It is a very solid card. It is so underrated. Defensively for minor decks, it is so good and I love it. I wish I could had more decks to play it in. I probably can add it in more, but I think Delivery is so much fun to use and it's so satisfying countering so many things with a log and Delivery. It's crazy. But shout out, yeah, shout out to why am I stuttering so crazy right now? Oh my goodness. Shout out to the Delivery. I was getting too excited there, guys. Sorry about that. But next card we're going to do is my personal favorite card in the game. These Appies. They are not in the greatest spot in the meta. You don't see them too often, but I'm going to put them in C tier just out of straight bias right there. I love these Appies. They're like the reason I started this channel. I think that was my first profile picture was these Appies. So yeah, shout out to these Appies for keeping me motivated, and shout out to you guys too. I would definitely not be able to do it without you and all your love and support. But okay, guys. Next card is the Lumberjack. I'll put the Lumberjack in B tier. Its hit speed is really solid, but yet again, it's only paired in certain combos, so I'm going to put it in C tier. Yeah, I don't know what else to really say about the Lumberjack. Its rage ability gives it most of its value, I feel like, especially in Lumberloon. But yeah, Lumberjack's a C tier card. Next up, let's see what we can get into. Inferno Dragon. I think that's a C tier card as well. It's really has one purpose is to get rid of tanks and it's flying, so it's pretty much a portable Inferno Tower. It is a good card. It just, it really depends on what kind of deck you're playing. A lot of champions and certain things now are, taken away from some of these unique cards with special abilities, but I don't see too much Inferno Dragon, and I wish I kind of would a little bit more, but yeah. Next up is the Wall Breakers. I think the Wall Breakers are a solid B tier card. Definitely deserve a lot of love. I am a big fan, but yeah, without the Wall Breakers, I don't know where the game would be. Honestly, it changed up so much with a lot of these spam decks and these like real quick cycle decks. Wall Breakers are lethal and do a ton of damage. Very underappreciated in so many metas, but definitely like the Wall Breakers. Next up, Bandit. I'm going to put in B tier as well. I think it's a solid card. The dash ability is awesome, and for only 3 elixir, it can give you so much value and take out, not even take out so many units, but it's more like the dash ability plus the dash ability just getting to the tower. And that Bandit will hit the tower so quick, and it's not doing a ton of damage, but it's wearing it down for sure. So Bandit is going to hang out in B tier. Alrighty here, guys. Next card we're going to do is the Mega Knight, and I don't think the Mega Knight's actually that great, only in a few decks this season, but I'm going to put it in D tier, honestly. It's not very skillful, and I mean, it only provides, like, if you have, I feel like if you're using it for skill purposes, it's more like you're using it for defense under, like, whatever your opponent's playing, you're just using it for defensive counter pushes, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't mind people like who play the Mega Knight and stuff like that, but I don't think it's the greatest card out there, and there's a lot of better things to push with these days. But we're going to put the Mega Knight in D tier. Next up is the Tesla. I think the Tesla is pretty average right now. We're going to put it in C tier. Don't want to hate on the Tesla because it used to be so great, and I do miss those days. But I think it's pretty okay and pretty average right now, so we're going to leave it in C tier. So we're getting down to the last probably 10 or so cards here. We're going to take we'll take one look here. So right now the S tier is the Knight, Miner, Ice Spirit, and Arrows. I'm going to do a little reevaluation here, see if I need to move anything into other tiers. And yet again, guys, I'm not ranking it based on the order of the cards. I wanted to do that, but it is very difficult. Let's see, though. I may move the Golden Knight up to B tier. I think that's valid. Same with the Monk. I think that's pretty... I think they're better cards than I really evaluate them as. But let's see here. Next up, Oh, I guess we're going to leave the Inferno. Yeah, we'll leave the Inferno there. Alright, we're just going to keep going back here. Finish up this video for you guys. I know it is a pretty long one. If you are here, I really appreciate you. Alrighty, guys, we have 15 cards left. And we're going to go in with the Skeleton Dragons here. And I think they're a C tier card. They are not bad, but they don't splash on anything, even though, they try to. They try their hardest, but they just can't do whatever you need. But they're not bad yet again. I use them a lot in a lava decks and stuff like that. But other than lava, you don't see them too often. Maybe Golem, but, they're great support. Other than that, they are pretty weak and, can't take much damage. But anyway, let's move on to the Golem. I will put the Golem in, I guess, high C tier. I mean, it is a pretty solid card. You can't hate on the Golem. I mean, yes, you can. You can hate on the Golem. No one's a big fan of it. It is a pretty no-skill card. All you do is pretty much wait for double, throw it down in the back, and, try to build up a big push. So it's not the most skilled deck, but Golem can be fun, and Golem Pump is one of my favorite decks ever. But, yeah. Alrighty. Getting down to the last few here. Let's keep it going. Fisherman, I think, is C tier. It is great against certain cards like E-Giant, Hog Rider, anything to activate your King Tower. Very unique card. But, yeah, I used to like the Fisherman a lot more. It used to be a lot more niche, but now there's a lot of, different things you can use to counter different cards now. So the Fisherman definitely gets overlooked. And sorry if the audio gets a little muffled at any point in this video, guys. I am sorry about that. I need to get a mic soon. But next card will be a skeleton barrel, and we will throw that in C tier as well. C tier will be probably where a lot of the cards hang out, honestly, because there's a lot of average cards in this game and below average cards. But yeah, we're gonna leave that in C tier, and it does provide a decent amount of value, and it can be fun to play, but it is pretty average, I would say, a little below maybe. But next card is the Dark Prince. I will put the Dark Prince in B tier. I like the Dark Prince a lot. I think it provides a lot of great defensive value, and it's not as overlooked as people think it is. But a lot of people use the Dark Prince, and I think it will always be a card that people use from now on. But getting into the next card, we're gonna do the Knight. And I think the Knight is not in the greatest spot, but it can be good. So I'm going to put it in C tier. I mean, skeletons, any cheap counters can take this out pretty easily. Skeletons and a Knight, anything really. But Knight is not as good as it used to be. That is for sure. Cards remaining here, guys. And next card is going to be Zap, and it's going to go right into D tier here. I don't think it's as good as it used to be. Back when it used to like counter goblins and stop them all, like it was broken, but now that it only takes out like spear goblins and stuff and skeletons, not as good as it used to be. I mean, it is good for distracting like Inferno Dragon and Inferno Tower, but I mean, besides that, no one really uses it anymore. I'd prefer Arrows, Log, Snowball even really over Zap these days. But the Zap has fell so far, unfortunately. Next card will be the Royal Ghost. Ghost is one of my favorite cards, honestly, too. I will be biased and put it into B tier. B tier is definitely a good spot for the Ghost. I mean, look at the Ghost. It turns invisible after like 2 seconds. Maybe it's 3 seconds, but so often I get hits on the tower with the Ghost in certain matchups, and I love playing it. So I'm going to put it in B tier. Alright, going back down. We're going to put the Bowler in C tier as well. I think the Bowler is very niche as well. It can line up and hit lots of different units, which is awesome when that happens. But it is pretty hard to do that in some circumstances. But hey, and I've probably used the word circumstances like 100 times in this video. I am sorry about that, guys. Need to expand my vocabulary a little bit. But on to the next, the Baby Dragon. I will put in high C tier as well. It is a tank. It is not really a tank, but it is very, durable. Has a lot of health, and I love Graveyard with Baby Dragon pushes. I think it is awesome. And yeah, it is pretty much a mini floating tank. But next up is the Bomb Tower. And I used to love this card, and I used to say it was probably A tier at least, or S tier even. But now I would put it in the B tier category. It is not as great as it used to be. Not the best now, but it is still fantastic. Don't really have too much to say the Bomb Tower. I don't use it too often, but I do like it. Alrighty here, guys, getting into the last four, and we have some spells and E-Wizard, so we're going to do the E-Wizard first. Put it in C tier. It's just not, not one of the better cards in the game. It's not bad, but it really depends on what you're playing, and it depends, what your opponent has. If it has something that needs to be reset, the E-Wizard is a great counter. But getting into the not last card, but the third to last card, the Fireball. We are putting the Fireball, I think, in S tier. I think the Fireball has always been perfect. I love it. I think it's great. But yeah, Fireball counters so much. It does wonders. And it gets me out of so many tough spots. So shout out to the Fireball. And now we are down to 2 spells here, guys. And we have the Tornado. I will put the Tornado in B tier. I think it's very solid. And the B tier and C tier are very filled up. A lot of C and a decent amount in D tier as well. But yeah, and we have one last card here, guys. And if you have made it to this point in the video, thank you guys so much for watching. We are going to put the Log in A tier. I think the Log will always be an A tier card. Very solid, perfect to me. But yeah, guys, I'm going to take one last look through, and then I'll be right back. Alrighty, guys, I think this is where we're going to end the video. But yeah, guys, we have a few cards in S tier. Probably deserves to be more, honestly. But we're going to leave it like this for now. We will come back probably next month and do the same thing if you guys like this. But yeah, we'll take one last look here. And there's definitely some cards that I would change personally myself too, but I'm not too sure right now. It is pretty tough to actually decide when it comes down to it. But yeah, this is my standings right now, and it definitely will change soon. And the Little Prince is not on here, but I will put the Little Prince. Where will I put it? I'll put it in A tier after the nerf. Still a very solid card, but yeah, guys, if you did enjoy this video, please leave a like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 2,000 subscribers by the new year. You guys have been awesome, and if you would like to check out my second channel, Chili Philly 3.0, we just hit 115 subscribers. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you back in the next video. Peace.